Today we're going to read Gaspard the Fox by Zeb Soanes and James Mayhew. Gaspard's nose was cold and wet, but the air in his den smelled warm and sweet. It was early evening and still light. He'd been asleep all day, and he was hungry. He leapt over the broken fence, past the scruffy garages, and crept cautiously out into the street. He wondered if he might see the nice, kind man with the bicycle. Gaspard wasn't frightened of him like he was of some other people. On a wall by an old pub was a lean grey cat. It was licking its claws as if it was savouring the memory of everything it had ever eaten. "Lovely day," said Gaspard politely. "My, aren't you a handsome fellow?" Stretching out each paw to inspect first the front, then the back. "Your mother was clearly a vixen of good breeding." Gaspard blushed warmly, though it was difficult to tell behind his thick red fur. "Thank you," he smiled. "How did you tear your ear?" asked the cat. "Oh, it has always been like this," answered Gaspard brightly. "My mother said it made me unique." "Very distinctive," purred the cat. "What are you called?" "I'm Gaspard," replied Gaspard. "A French name," said the cat, with interest peering down at him. "You really are an uncommon little fox. I am Peter." "Peter?" repeated Gaspard. "Most of the cats I've met have silly names like Mimi or Tigger." "Peter is a very proper name for a cat," said Peter, and he flicked his tail to indicate he had nothing more to say on the matter. "Well, nice to meet you, Peter," said Gaspard. "I'm going to look for something to eat." "Try the canal," Peter offered helpfully. "There's been a festival today. You might find quite a feast along the towpath." Gaspard's eyes widened. "Would you like to come?" "No thanks," says Peter. "I had some fillets of plaice before I came out." Gaspard looked blank. "It's a fish," said Peter, "with delicate white flesh. Quite delicious." Gaspard was impressed. "I've never eaten fish," he admitted, and the thought made his stomach gurgle. "Well, happy hunting, Gaspard." Peter sprang to his feet and disappeared over the wall. Gaspard rushed through the little park and down to the canal, feeling excited. There were boats everywhere, brightly painted and decorated with flags. One was a floating bookshop, and people were drinking and chatting at little tables. Gaspard could hear music, and there were unfamiliar smells all around. Spicy smells and woody, smoky smells. There were still quite a few people on the towpath, so he kept close to the wall and moved quickly. "Look, Fox!" shouted a woman, pointing her phone excitedly. Gaspard turned his head in panic and ran straight into a bin. It was piled so full of rubbish that a bag toppled off, covering him in black ash. He sneezed, achoo, and the woman took a picture. Gaspard was so dirty, he hardly looked like a fox at all. He ran to the bridge where a group of people were watching a man dancing. Nobody seemed to notice Gaspard now, so he sat for a moment. The dancing man wore a suit covered in pearly white buttons, and his friend was squeezing a musical box that laughed out the tune. The man made a sudden hop, and a little dog with curly hair yelped and ran straight into Gaspard. "Are you okay?" asked Gaspard. "Too many people," she barked, and gave him a puzzled sniff. What is this little creature I've just bumped into? Thought the little dog. What sort of dog are you? I'm Gaspard, explained he, trying not to lie. Dogs and foxes aren't usually friends. I'm Finty, replied the dog. Are you hungry? Starving, said Gaspard. She led him to a boat with lots of empty tables outside. They were selling hot dogs this afternoon, said Finty excitedly. We might find some tasty treats. I've never met a dog without its human before, said Gaspard, searching for scraps. That's because I escape, said Finty. I've made a hole in the back of my kennel. My owner thinks I'm still there. I do it when she's watching TV so I can have adventures. Gaspard found the last sausage, but before he could eat it, the table above him lifted off the ground. The owner of the hot dog boat was clearing away. Oi, get out of it, he shouted angrily. Clear off. Poor little doggies and poor little Gaspard, just looking for something to eat. Gaspard panicked and jumped onto the boat. Finty barked at the boatman, who tried to kick her away with his big boot. Gaspard ran along the boat and leapt towards the towpath, but as he jumped, his paw caught a rope and he tumbled. Splosh! Straight into the canal. The water tasted oily, and his nose was covered in green weeds. Gaspard began to swim clumsily, gasping for air. Finty followed along the towpath, jumping and barking encouragement. You can do it! Come on, Gaspard! The water began to flow very quickly. The lock gates were opening, and like dirty bath water gushing down the plug hole, he was forced up through to the other side, where Flinty was waiting. She stared at him as he scrambled out and shook the dirty water to reveal his shiny wet red fur. You're not a dog, you're a fox, she said in astonishment. Gaspard was worried she might push him back in the water. That's so cool, said Finty, her eyes gleaming and her tail wagging. I'm friends with a real fox. Friends? Said Gaspard. And he felt warm again, forgetting how wet and hungry he was. I have to get back, said Finty, but let's have another adventure tomorrow. I'd like that very much, called Gaspard, but Finty was already out of sight. Gaspard had made a new friend, perhaps two, he thought, as he spotted Peter on a bench across the road. Peter was trying to catch a butterfly. When he saw Gaspard, he quickly made himself look very dignified. Hello, Hello, Peter. What are you up to? Lepidoptery, Peter answered grandly. It means the collection of butterflies. It's a hobby of mine. You do use big words, said Gaspard with a smile. I listen to a lot of Radio 4, explained Peter, as he leapt down to join home. Come on, you can walk me home. Gaspard told Peter all about the canal and meeting Finty. Peter sniffed. Books can be exhausting and stupid. Not Finty, protested Gaspard. She's good at escaping and everything. Then you must bring her to meet me another day. This is my house. Peter had stopped outside an enormous house with big stone steps. Nice colour. At that moment the door opened and a woman with bright spotty boots called down to them. Come in, Fluffy. Peter's fur bristled. Fluffy? Asked Gaspard. I thought you said your name was, Peter hissed. If you say another word, I'll never speak to you again, said Peter. With a flick of his tail, he bounded up the steps and rubbed himself around the lady's boots, purring loudly. What were you doing with that grubby fox? Gaspard heard her say. You don't know where he's been. Peter winked as she closed the door. Click, click, whirr. Gaspard's ears pricked up. He turned and saw the kind man on the bicycle returning from work. The man gave a short ting on his bell and stopped outside the block of flats. He turned to the little fox. Hello there, friend, he said as he unclipped and twisted parts of the bicycle so that it folded up just bigger than one of its wheels. Gaspard loved to watch him do that. A window opened above them and another man looked down, smiling. Hello, Foxy, what have you been up to today? Chasing squirrels, probably, answered the man with the bicycle, lifting it through the doorway. A packet fell to the ground with a soggy scrunch, spilling its warm contents onto the flower bed. Oh, said the man, looking at Gaspard. Well, it's yours now, friend. He smiled and closed the door with a clunk. Gaspard watched as the light came on at the top of the stairs and he heard the two men laughing. It was getting dark. He sniffed the ground. Fish and chips. Peter would be impressed. He gathered it gently in his mouth and trotted around the back of the flats, past the scruffy garages, under the broken fence and down into his den to enjoy his first fish supper. In one exciting evening, he had made 2 new friends. He was happy, his stomach full, and the future felt bristling with adventures. And that's the end. That was Gaspard's adventure. So 2 new friends, a splash in the canal. He's found some nice people in his neighbourhood, hasn't he? I bet he'll like to stay there. Have you seen any foxes in the wild? They like to live in cities as well as the countryside, wherever they can find a bite to eat. Look out for them next time. They have long, gorgeous, fluffy tails, pointy ears, and lovely, lovely, lovely red russet fur. Thank you for listening to my story. I look forward to seeing you again soon. What will we be story reading then, I wonder? Bye bye. Take care. Lots of love.